Welcome to the Davenport Coaches Show, our final show of the year, coming to you from Uccello's in Caledonia. Thank the good folks at Uccello's have been so great hosting this show over the years. Take great care of us.
That doesn't happen often where you have that many fourth down attempts, and obviously to go 100%, says a lot about both those programs and how bad those young men, wanted it, at that time, and showing you that, they don't have a pulse at that time. I love it, to go in and have to execute and use all the downs, but once again, it's very disappointing because we felt like that was one that it was going to be tough, but we really felt like we needed to get that one done, so we would still have, hopes for getting into the postseason tournament.
Even though the winning points came in overtime, is it safe to say, Coach, that really Northern Michigan probably won the game the first three quarters when they built up that 14-point lead?
Yeah, it's, I felt like they played extremely hard throughout. They had the 2 turnovers, and to our credit, we made some great plays on those turnovers. And, sometimes you get into games like that, and one of the things that we discussed is that it's really difficult to beat a good team, twice. Now, I know that, the Wildcats haven't shown up big in the win column, but when you go through the film and you watch the film, they've given a lot of teams fits where the game could have gone either way, even the first time we played them up there. So, the one thing about the game that we played up there was the conference game. This game we played down here was the non-conference game. So, we still sit in second place, and our guys know playing this week against the number 1 team in the country, we've got to go out and execute a lot better than what we did early, and then obviously play hard.
There were some individual standouts in the loss for Davenport. Jamar Mills, a career-high 18 tackles. He was all over the place.
He was, and the first time we played him, we felt like that was his style of play. Jamar is more of a smash mouth downhill backer, and I was happy for him because, he's paid his dues here, and, he's a smart, high football IQ, guy for us, and he left it all out there in the field, and that's all you can ask for.
Another individual standout, Xavier Marquez, one of the great plays of the game in that fourth quarter comeback when he got a sack, forced a bad tip pass, and he intercepted it himself as he was falling down. Incredible individual effort.
Yeah, he did, and I know X really well, and the thing that X will tell you is that, he appreciates, seeing that play. But he had another play that was similar that he could have made as well, where he may have been a National Player of the Week. He's a young man, once again, that he's gone through some tough times in regards to injuries, and just to see him, get through this season and come back from, surgery and have the season he's having, it's well-deserved for a guy that's worked really hard.
Coach, you brought senior offensive lineman Armony Baskin in with you. Tell us a little bit about Armony and what he's meant to your program.
Armony is one of our high school guys that we brought in here years ago, and you want to talk about a guy that, exemplifies what hard work can do for you. He's a guy that went into the weight room and he paid his dues. He does it in the classroom, and his teammates see the hard work, and therefore he was voted one of the captains. So very proud of Armani and love the fact that he is a West Michigan local kid.
All right, Coach, we'll get to Armani. We'll have you come back in the final segment of the show, talk about the #1 team in the nation coming to Davenport for the season finale. Saturday afternoon, Ferris State comes in. Stay with us on the Davenport Coaches Show here from Uccello's in Caledonia. Davenport Coaches Show here at Uccello's in Caledonia. Our next guest is Armony Baskin, a senior from Grand Rapids, went to Kennewick Hills High School, joins us as a mainstay on that offensive line. Coach talked to us a little bit about you before you joined us, Armony, and talked about all the hard work you put in. It was a big thing for you. You are a real hard worker in and out during the season and off season. Tell us where that work ethic came from for you.
I think really it just came from the guys that I work with. They always push me to be strong and, go as far as I can. It starts in that weight room, not just on the field, but in the weight room we be competing, wanting the best out of each other. So I'll say it starts with my guys.
Tough loss on Saturday for the team. What a battle, though. I'm telling you, you played an equivalent 5 quarters of football. Have you ever been in any game like that?
No, that was the first time. It was crazy.
What did you think about the offensive line play Saturday overall?
I thought it was pretty well. A lot of communication and a lot of making sure that everybody's on point with their calls and staying on top of each other, making sure that if we're making mistakes that we let each other know what we're seeing and so that we can execute.
You mentioned the communication. It's one of the things I don't think fans understand about the offensive line and that communication. Tell us a little bit about that, how you communicate with each other and how important that is to mesh as a unit.
It really depends on the front of the defense, just paying attention to their tendencies and things like that. For me, I play tackle, so me and Sarjo have to be on point with noticing certain things that 3-tech might be doing if he's slanting in, things like that, and it helps us simplify our calls and things like that.
You went to Kennewick Hills High School here in Grand Rapids area. Hey, quite a year for the Kennewick Hills Knights this year, winning a league title.
Yeah.
You get a chance to see any of their games?
No, I've been kind of busy with
a little bit busy as well. Well, what did you gain? You played for Rory Zagunis at Kennewick Hills. What did you gain from Coach Zagunis?
That winning culture, honestly. Wanting more out of myself as a player, I'll say that for sure. He always pushed me and made sure that I was on point as an athlete, so I'll say that winning culture.
You major in business administration. What are you going to do with your degree, Armani, when you're done with Davenport?
So I obviously want to take football as far as I can, and then, hopefully that will help translate into the business field of owning my own business. I would love to have my own clothing brand and, just sell some streetwear, things like that.
Have you been able to dabble in it yet at all with your new clothing brand?
Yeah, here and there I find some time to just work on some designs and, create some things that I like.
Where did that interest come from in the clothing area?
So I took KCTC in high school, and the class that I took was entrepreneurship and marketing. And we kind of learned about how to use Adobe and things like that, and Photoshop. And we kind of just started doing a bunch of designs on like jerseys, T-shirts, all those type of clothes and things like that.
When I talk with players at the college level, they often say there was one coach somewhere along the line, maybe back in middle school or elementary school or high school, that really helped you turn the corner and realize you could take this athletic thing to a different level. Was there one coach in your past that really inspired you to become what you are today?
So for me, I would say he didn't coach me on the team, but he's my coach, throughout my life. It would be my dad. He always wanted so much out of me, and I feel like that, the things that he spoke into my life was very, big for me. And I wanted to accomplish that to make him proud.
What do you do in your own time away from, besides, when you're dabbling in your entrepreneurship, just for your own enjoyment, away from football, away from school? What do you do to enjoy yourself?
I got a few things. One is I enjoy Bible study. That helps with my mind and helps me, grow as a person. And then also I love hanging out with my girl. We spend a lot of time trying to cook as many meals as we can. I'm a big guy, so I enjoy eating.
Do you enjoy cooking?
Oh, yeah.
What's your specialty?
I probably, on a good day, I'll probably give you some steak, potatoes, things like that. But majority of the time, it's nothing but some pasta stuff.
All right, well, you know what? You got some good food waiting for you. I think you ordered before you came here.
Yep.
You better get over there because Miles Ballou, our next guest, he may be diving into your food. Armani, thanks for joining us, bud. It's been great having you here. Best of luck with your clothing line and wherever you go down the road.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. Come back, talk a little men's basketball here on the Davenport Coaches Show here from your cellos in Caledonia. Switching gears on the Davenport Coaches Show from you cellos in Caledonia, we're going to talk a little men's basketball as men's basketball season starts this weekend. And assistant head coach Miles Ballou joins us from the men's basketball team. Miles, your second year as coaching with Davenport. What did you learn in your first year as an actual college coach? Because you played your whole life, but last year you got into the coaching realm. What did you learn most, do you think, from in your first year of coaching?
Absolutely. Before we get into that, I really want to take a step back and first off congratulate you on being, what is that, Grand Rapids Sports Hall of Fame, first off.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
I appreciate that.
Not only that, sir, thank you for the help that you did for the volunteer work that we did for Kids Food Basket.
Oh, you guys went out to Kids Food Basket. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes, sir, we did. Yeah, absolutely. It was a great experience. Great experience.
Glad to hear that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Getting back to your question, sir, a lot of adjustments. It was a good time being a student athlete and all that stuff, and switching over to being in a coaching role. It's a lot of adjustments and getting used to new guys and new faces, and kind of switching over that friendship to coaching role. It was a lot. But understanding how communication and being clear with everybody is so key for everybody to be on the same page is one of the biggest things that I learned.
You mentioned switching over from the friendship side, so that means you had to sometimes get in the face of guys who you were friends with just a year earlier.
Yes, sir.
How was that?
It was interesting. There's some times where the dynamic didn't necessarily clash together like it should have, but as time went along and we learned what the roles are and moving forward, it was good. It was good.
What surprised you most about going into coaching that you didn't think that would be a bigger part of it than it was?
Well, there's a lot more that people don't know for coaching and what they do behind the scenes and academics and all that stuff. And it's
like
not
laundry, like
yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. Keeping those guys' stuff clean 24/7 is no easy task. Absolutely not. But outside of that, just understanding that there's more than just X's and O's and the relationship outside of just being on the court and make sure the guys are good 24/7. It's a role, but it's definitely enjoyable. It has a lot of its perks.
Let's talk a little bit about this year's team. You've got a number of newcomers, a couple guys that you do have coming back, mainstays previously, Dylan Smith and Aiden Moon. Let's talk a little bit about Dylan, first of all, who I saw him at scrimmage. He looked a little thinner than from last year.
Yes, sir. Trying to cut up a little bit of the baby weight that he had, but he's looking pretty good. We're excited about the role that he has for this year, and obviously returning. He was one of the top runners in the Freshman of the Year contenders, but he has a lot on his plate and a lot on his shoulders, but he ensures us that he's ready for that, so we're excited to see what he does. Aiden
Moon, the junior from Ann Arbor, he looks like he's improved on his outside shooting a little bit.
Absolutely.
Which is one area that he needed to jump up in.
Yes, sir. One of the biggest things for him was just the confidence, understanding that he's put a lot of work in pretty much every day. He's one of the first guys in the gym and one of the last to leave. So just trying to instill the confidence and the knowledge that he knows what to do and out there just going out there and be free.
Now, you're always in college situation. You're going to have newcomers along with veterans, but this year your ratio of newcomers was extremely high. What do you do as a coach to try to get that meshing in, because guys coming in from all over the place and they don't know each other? How do you get the team to gel personally on the court and maybe even off of it?
Yes, sir. Well for any coach in any team on the college level, getting guys to gel for any sort of reason, whether it's one newcomer or 10 newcomers or 9 for our situation, one of the biggest things is to make sure everybody's on the same page and gelling together. So one of the biggest things that we do is really just a lot of film sessions, making sure that everybody knows what their job is and everybody's on the same page as far as that. Now, outside of that, we do obviously every team in America pretty much does team bonding and all that stuff. So we've done a couple events and all that stuff and making sure that guys have willing and open line of communication between not only us but each other, and that's the biggest thing, because the guys are on the floor, not just us. So there's plenty of times that we have guys coming together before and after school and before practice and all that stuff, and they're doing a pretty good job so far staying together.
You mentioned 9 newcomers. Mention a couple of guys that have stood out and had good preseason camps.
Absolutely. Well, for everybody at starting together as a new team, we've made strides that many wouldn't have expected us to make, and we're definitely excited for this season. But one of our guys, we had a couple local guys like Marshawn Flakes, who went to GRCC. We got
Kentwood kid, right?
Yes, sir.
Right near
yes,
here.
Sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Kean Hinkle, a freshman from Byron Center. One of our guys that we're really excited about. A lot of people didn't really know what his game was because he's a little bit undersized, but his skill-wise definitely matches that 10 times fold. So a couple guys like Kendall Walker, a D3 kid from Earlham College. He is really exciting. He can put the ball in the basket a lot. So other guys like Sangolay Njai coming in from Purdue Northwest and Roosevelt. Guys who are really just ready to compete, and that's one of our biggest things. Who can get out there and compete consistently for 40 minutes.
Sangolay redshirted last year, so he was able to practice. You got a feel for him. Well, how has he improved from last year as a redshirt to this year on the roster?
Yes, sir. The biggest thing for him right now is really just using his voice. He's one of our older guys. He's been in the GLIAC for a few years and at a couple different schools and all that stuff. So really just understanding, and one of his biggest things is just passing down that knowledge that he's done so far for so many years. He knows how to play basketball right now, and just getting other guys to be on his same level is going to be one of his biggest things.
Miles, going into the season now, which starts this weekend, what would you say the biggest strength of this team right now you've seen so far, and what's one area that you know you have to really improve in?
Yes, sir. One of the biggest strengths that we have is really just that team camaraderie. Offensively, I think we will not struggle a second. This team right now can really shoot the ball. We got a couple guys who are extremely aggressive and extremely efficient. As a team, as a unit, outside of the individual aspect, I think we share the ball extremely well that we haven't done the past few years, and that's going to be a threat. And a lot of teams in the GLIAC have 1 or 2 scores that they really need to worry about and focus on, and for us, we have a lot of scores at a lot of different positions, not just a point guard, not just a center like Dylan Smith or Mateus Vrabel last year. It's a lot that they have to worry about. Now, for what we have to work on, I think obviously every team wants to be a really good defender, and as you know, defense wins championships, and that's something that we're really trying to work on. But for us right now, just trying to get everybody on the same page on that aspect, and we have no question that guys are going to compete night in and night out, but just being consistent with everything.
One brief tonight. You have the home opener, but this weekend you're part of the Great Lakes Valley GLIAC Challenge, so you'll play 4 games out of state. 2 games out of state, a 4-team matchup, a classic format. That's always a good tune-up for you to let you know where you are as a team, isn't it?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So one of that biggest crossover of really the year, one of the 2 most important games that we'll have all season are really the first 2 games that we have. Kind of backwards the way it's set up, but I mean, obviously it's one of the most fun games that we'll have to really determine how we do later on in the stretch of the season.
Tell us about your involvement with recruiting, because once the season starts, it's so easy. All the things you have to do, as you alluded to earlier, and yet you still have to find to get out and recruit new potential players. How are you balancing that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, one of the biggest things of coaches is wearing multiple hats, and recruiting is one of the biggest hats that you can possibly wear, making sure that not only is this team ready for this year, but obviously in the near futures to come. So for me and recruiting and all that stuff, there's always more time in the day that we give ourselves credit for. So there's always time to go watch high school practices and go recruit outside, and obviously the transfer portal is a big thing for us, but really for us at the Davenport staff is really going out and seeing guys and being face-to-face and building that relationship moving forward. So there's definitely a lot that we can do.
Well, Miles, I look forward to calling your opening game 1 week from tonight at home at least, but best of luck this weekend on the road there with the first 2 non-conference games, and we look forward to a big season, and I know you're going to be a terrific coach for a number of years to come, Miles.
Thanks, sir.
Miles Ballou, our special guest. We'll take a break, come back. Sparky will join us once again, talk a little bit about this week's final football game of the season when the number 1 team in the nation, Ferris State, comes into Davenport to take on the Panthers. Stay with us. Final segment of the show as we talk about this Saturday's season finale, and boy, what a big one it's going to be. The weather looks really good, so if you get a chance to get out there, come on and watch the Panthers take on the number 1 team in the nation, Ferris State. And Coach, some games maybe you got to work a little harder to get your guys focused and get up, really get motivated for a game. This is one you don't have to work at all, do you?
No, it's it's a bunch up there in Big Rapids that man, they've done one heck of a job. It's a historical run, that they're on, and Tony took that over in 2012, and he's been up there. This is going on his 13th year, and for him, I think he's right at a 90%, 900% or 90% win percentage. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. And then 3 of the last 4 national championships, and obviously they just clinched the GLIAC. So our boys are very familiar, and there's much respect on our end for what they've achieved as a group. And this is a different group, and the group that they have now, it's a different group physically as well. I see a lot of team speed, with this group, and they've gone through some injuries, and you can see with this football team, they still have not peaked, so they had a tough game against Saginaw this past week, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be, ready to roll this week after clinching the championship.
You mentioned their various skills that they have. One of the things that they also showed, you mentioned that game, they were down by 17 in the second half to Saginaw Valley Saturday, came back and won it. So that certainly is another notch in their belt. Yeah,
it was very impressive because, everyone knows that, Saginaw, they have pretty much arguably, one of the most explosive quarterbacks in the country. And, to go up 17 and, have the team come back the way they did, the way Ferris did, tells you something about Ferris. Once again, they're another group that plays stingy football defensively. They got a front, that's physical up front, and they've got some backers with some speed, and they got a secondary that's arguably the best secondary in the country. They got a secondary, man, that's really, really, they're good. They're really good, and they've got a defensive scheme going over there right now with Anise and Hodges that they're very comfortable with the kind of kids that they recruit in there to play under their type of scheme, and it gives teams problems. It really does, and then obviously the offense is, manned by the head coach that really, gets it. He understands attacking football. And he's attacking you in every way that you can be attacked. He knows your personnel well, and he's going to find a weakness, and he will attack that weakness.
Even though he didn't play for you, I think you and every coach in the GLIAC kind of admire what Trinidad Chambliss did, the former Ferris player who's now starring for University of Mississippi, at Division I level in the SEC. That's a credit really to GLIAC football, isn't it? Every time he goes out and succeeds.
The funny thing about that story is you never hear Davenport mentioned, and that's okay. We were his only offer until Tony showed up, and Tony's wife works in the district, and I know that family, Chambliss family, for a while, and we offered him, and Tony had kept his eye on him as a basketball player, and he watched him play basketball, and he watched him growing up playing basketball, and we made the offer, and then obviously they came in late, and they made the offer after, I think it was his playoff game, and there went Chambliss, and that's how that story goes.
And Tony saw him as a wide receiver, as I heard it, primarily. That's what Tony saw him.
No,
it's not.
Tony saw him as a basketball player, and to be honest with you, I didn't at that time. He offered him late. But Trinidad's doing a great job, and he did a great job when he was there, obviously, at Ferris. And now they got another young man up there, pulling the trigger. They got a couple of them, so they've done a really good job of recruiting guys that can run that system. And it truly is a system. And now the guy that they got pulling the trigger now, man, he's he can throw it. He can throw it with the best of them. He's a little closer to Vanderlaan, and when I was there, that's why I feel like he reminds me a little bit of Vanderlaan in his running style.
That's high praise, yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 Harlan Hill trophies.
About Chase Carter?
No, I'm talking about Jason Vanderlaan that played quarterback then, but Bowers now is the quarterback now, so once again, you've got an electric player in the backfield that can throw it, and he can run it, and when he runs it, he's physical, so the young man that came in, to give him a rest. Sometimes the quarterbacks, if they're having a tough day, you could just sit them down just so they can get a better, look from the other, lens. And I'm sure Bowers is going to be back this coming week because he's a Harlan Hill candidate. And quarterbacks, they do that. We'll have a bad day, every now and then. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be firing on all cylinders once he comes to the farm.
All right, Coach, the keys from the Davenport perspective to have a chance to knock off the number 1 team in the nation this Saturday would be what?
Couple things. I think when you have 2 athletic teams playing and, you have, 2 good quarterbacks, you have to make some big plays. You got to make some big plays. And when the opportunity presents itself, we have to win the big plays, And then, obviously, I always talk about the offensive lines. Both offensive lines, we have to protect ours. They got to protect theirs. Our D lines, got to be able to put some pressure. So something's got to give. They have an extremely quick secondary. So we've got to be aware of that. And then our receivers, our DBs, this will be the best group that they've played against in regards to receivers. So I think, and I'm excited about this matchup. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be difficult for anybody, including them. They'll say, well, these guys have won 20 plus games and they'll be down. No, they won't. Ferris doesn't. They show up. And we know that. So we're excited about the football game and an opportunity to go out and see where we stack up, with the best.
That'll be a good test. So get out there, watch them, join us at the field, the Farmers Insurance Athletic Complex Saturday at 12 noon against Ferris State. If you can't, catch our broadcast on Flow Sports. That'll wrap it up, Coach. We want to thank the good folks at Uccello's for hosting us all year long again.
They've been amazing. Mario and the family, have been amazing to us. It's been a great run with them, and it's a beautiful place here. The food is absolutely amazing, and we're very appreciative of their support for Panther football.
Thanks to Paul and Brittany, who took great care of us all season long. That'll wrap it up here. Thanks to Coach Sparky McEwen for being our co-host of the show all season long. So one final time, Rick Berkey saying thanks for joining us for the Davenport Coaches Show, and go Panthers.